Hello, and welcome back to another episode of VanillaTyme. This is episode 23. My name is Steph, and I got something interesting for today. I decided that I want to build another minigame, but I've noticed a little bit of a problem with some of my minigames. They require other people, and I don't always have other people around on the server. So I figured that a single-player minigame would be, a little bit more fun. And what better game to design or build on the server than a dropper game? What I've gone and done here is I have set up a platform at world height, which I plan to replace in this episode, and I want to add a couple of points of interest on the way down here. We're going to get rid of this dirt line, and I have already gone ahead and tunneled out down to Bedrock. So if we come down here, I'm just going to use my elytra to fly down here a little bit. Whoop. Yeah, a little bit of lava. Yeah, it's kind of dangerous. So it doesn't go directly down. I started with a 3x3, and then as the features of the cave started to appear, I just kind of went with it, which makes it a little bit harder to navigate down. Which is the idea, right? Because it's a dropper game. It's not supposed to be easy. And then we get all the way down to the ground here, and as far as I'm aware, this is the lowest that you can get in the world. -62. It might actually go lower than that in some places in the Bedrock. This is the lowest that I could get here. So you might actually get Caves to Cliffs advancement if you successfully complete the dropper. I'm not entirely sure. As I haven't successfully tested this from top to bottom yet, which we'll do once we get some of the builds in place. But yeah, that's the idea. And as you can see, there's like little bits here. So what I might do is actually extend this a little bit in places where the cave cuts in, just to make it a little bit harder towards the top. But I want to start by adding a platform here that's not so ugly, and I figured why not just build one of these guys? The pterodactyls or pterodons or whatever you want to call them. I mean, they're already a flying organic. I already have the design for it, so yeah, let's start by doing that. So I did use Easy Place, as you could probably tell. It's the light Matica option. It's a little cheaty, but how this is a pain in the arse to build in the air already. So I did not want to try and deal with scaffolding on top of that. So you get what you get. But with that said, I mentioned the Caves and Cliffs the Caves and Cliffs. Why can't I say that? I mentioned the Caves and Cliffs advancement. And I think if it is possible, it's only going to be doable from, I think, right here. So you really have to jump. Like, this is like the topmost block. I cannot place anything on top of this. Yeah. So we're at world height, which means that you would have to jump from here and then navigate your way into the hole. Yeah, that is tough. Ooh, I got a challenge, though, because of my totem. Still haven't died yet, so let's just make sure that I don't. I'm thinking that this block here might actually be causing a lot of the issues. Also, let me just get my night vision back on. I don't know if I want to move the water over, or if I want to just maybe just take this block out. I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna keep testing it, see if I can do it, but yeah, it's gonna be rough. It is nice to see that the advancement is doable, though. Assuming that you actually land the water drop, or like me, have a totem. The next step is going to be adding the organics, other organics similar to this one around, or at least some kind of points of interest. I haven't really decided yet. And then getting rid of the dirt pillar. And then, yeah, adding a few things down here. And that should be the game done. So, yeah, I'm going to get to designing, and Next time you see me, hopefully I'll have an words are hard. The next time you see me, hopefully I'll have another organic ready for you. Meanwhile, while I'm working on the design for the dropper, I got a little distracted. Yeah, I made another button. So press button. You get 32 torches. It said 31 because I had 63 on me already. But yeah, so press button, get 32 torches. I thought that was kind of cool. It's pretty straightforward, little dustless design, pretty similar to the other ones I've done. It's literally just a wooden button, specifically, into a repeater that pushes a sticky piston, or activates sticky piston, pushing the observer into the other observer, creates a click clock. And the button press is just long enough for 8 ticks, which converts to half a stack of torches. I had another design that was not dustless that gives you exactly 64. It was a little bit bigger and not quite as efficient, so I figured I'd just stick with this system. And the input's really simple. It's just pull, sticks, so it just makes the process a little bit easier. So push of a button, you get a half a stack. If you want if you want a full stack, just press it twice. So yeah, that's kind of nice for like cave lighting, and same with the other systems. I can always just pop it in here, press the button, and it'll just throw the torches right in. Well, it throws the torches right in the shulker box. I guess I'd have to place the shulker box sideways if I plan on opening it. Otherwise, it breaks my item frame. But yeah, press button, get some torches, and then we're done. In the meantime, I also did a little bit of terraforming on the area around the beach, and I added another tree. At this point, I've got a couple of different tree designs, so I decided to go with one of the first ones that I put up. I just changed the angle a little bit, adjusted the bottom, and voila, it's another tree. So while collecting for my build, I've been, well, oxidizing copper, as you can see here. I know the rules. The rules are you need to separate your copper by, like, was it 5 blocks, 4 block gap in between in order for fastest rates. But I'd never actually done a serious amount of testing on my own. I did a little bit when copper first came out, but it's always fun to, try out different strategies and see what's faster and what's slower. I initially started with a couple of, like, just grids, flat planes. Like this was originally one big flat plane, and I've just been picking it apart and separating it just due to lack of space. And it was very, very clear that the separated copper does in fact oxidize faster, which I've learned from watching other content creators and looking stuff up online. But seeing it in person is pretty cool. I could have just gone into one of our 2 trial chambers, either the one that is directly underneath our base, or there's one over in this direction that I found recently while doing some cave lighting. But I had a ton of raw copper that had just been piling up, and so I figured I wanted to use the super smelter and get a bunch of it done. And just, use that rather than have it just sit and rot in storage. And this is more fun, so... one thing I did do is I realized during the smelting process that this setup, and I knew this going in, I sort of just kind of got lazy with this, but when you have just a chest over a minecart hopper and you're just using a lever to turn it on or off, so if this thing's permanently powered, it doesn't have enough time to sit and recollect from the top. So what was happening is these beginning furnaces, we appear to be out of fuel, wind up, overfilling because it only adds like 6 or 8 items or whatever it is. And so it fills the first couple hoppers, and then the ones at the end, so you can see that there's only a half a stack of copper on this side, but it's like almost full on this side. And the reason is because if I just fill it and let it go, it doesn't refill properly. So what I've done is I have added under here, can't really see. So under here we've added a bit of redstone, and this is just an old school. This is just a comparator-based AND gate, and what that means is you need a signal from 2 different sources in order for the output signal to work. And the 2 sources are this lever here, which used to be over here, and the output from the detector rail here. So I'm then taking that detector rail and signal and reversing it. So technically, this is a not AND gate. So or I forget exactly what it's called. It's been a while since I've done discrete math in university, but it's basically one end, not the other, right? So if this is on and this is not on, then this redstone line will power. So if we turn this on, for example, see how that turns on, and then when this signal, when the minecart comes over the signal on the way back, it then turns off, and see now it sits for a little bit, and so that gives it a little bit more time to collect more items. I don't know if it's enough time. I haven't tested with items yet. I guess I could, right? We can always just empty these out and see what happens. So if we take this, for example, and we send this thing off, it's empty right now. And we'll see how much it picks up on the way back. So now it takes 32. 32 is enough. I would prefer it to take 48, because then it'll do a full loop. But 32 is better. It was only doing like 8 before. I may need to extend the signal, which I'm doing. I don't think I'm actually extending a signal at all. So the idea would be to extend this signal output before it gets reversed. So I would have to move the whole system in a little bit. So I'm not sure if it's worth doing or not. We also have a little hole here, which I'm going to have to patch on the outside. Yeah, so we have a little bit of a hole here now. So I would have to make this into a full block. But maybe I can just get away with that. Is that okay? It's not super noticeable. Yeah, I think that's fine. And yeah, so that's pretty much the super smelter slightly updated. Still isn't perfect. This thing was kind of a lazy design, and I just didn't have enough space for the cart loader unless I just really just reworked this whole corner a little bit. I could probably have fit one, but I figured I'd try my own idea. So we've got a bunch of smelted copper, and we've also been smelting a bunch of resin up and then converting those into bricks for building. So the reason why, and I have got a design worked out. So it will be 2 organics, and as you saw from the time lapse, we've got the top of the dropper game, which is this little guy up here. Whee! And so there's going to be 1 organic here, and then another one around here, and there's just going to be some islands peppered all around to help act as just items in the way, or not items, but rather space in the way to make it harder to navigate down into the hole. Yes, the hole. And then next step will be to add some more detail at the bottom. I am still shy on some materials, so if we actually go into our Lightmatica, if we look at our material list, we are just missing yeah, some stairs, the copper stairs, some resin that I just need to craft up, and some stone that I can just grab from our storage. So we're almost done. Once the copper's all oxidized, or we have enough of it. Actually, I think I probably have enough. Yeah, because this, when we stone cut it, will multiply by a factor of like, what, 4 or something. So we should be good to go here. So let me just finish up with the material gathering here, and once I've got all my boxes ready, we can start the next part of the build. And by the way, just so people know, you can in fact put honeycomb and your copper in your crafting table and wax it that way. I know it's kind of pointless to wax oxidized items. I have so much honeycomb that I don't care, and also my schematic uses waxed because I guess that's just what I picked when I was designing. But you can even do oxidized like this, or not oxidized, sorry, but wax your stuff like this, and then stone cut it afterwards, and it'll stay waxed. So if we go over here, for example, and we want to say do a slab, look at that, we get 8, and that only cost us 1 honeycomb. right, so I've done one of the platforms, islands, whoop, and I've missed it. So I've got a bunch of these lined up, kind of strategically all over the place going down. So I'm going to add a couple more of these, but first I wanted just to get one of these platforms in so I had a bit of a landing platform, because the next one I want to do is a big green organic that kind of wraps around, well, this. We're going to get rid of the dirt, but the idea is to have something here. And then we're going to add another organic a little bit further down. These are going to look kind of like flying wyverns, I guess. If you've ever seen a wyvern, it's kind of like a dragon, but it has a tail instead of legs. And instead of arms, like the arms and the wings are combined. So it's basically kind of like a mythical beast. I know I'm kind of winding away from the dragon, or not dragon, from the dinosaur. So kind of moving away from the dinosaurs a little bit and going into kind of more of like a mythological kind of slant, which is fine because we're way up here. We've got the scoop ball arenas, which is very, very not, I mean, I guess that could be considered kind of dinosaurish, considering they're playing ball with a dinosaur-looking animal. Anyway, point being, I figured I'd go in a slightly different direction. After all, we don't know all the dinosaurs that existed, and some of them may have looked like wyverns. I don't know. Again, just, fair warning, my organic work is kind of hit and miss, so these ones, the faces might look a little funky, but I tried to do my best with a little bit of organic movement and angles, so we'll see how it turns out. But yeah, let's get that one going next. Well, this is kind of awkward. I think I lost one of my shulker boxes. I prepped 3 shulker boxes for this project, and I can't seem to find one of them. So I've been able to rebuild everything. So I've got all the materials now, with the exception of 3 of these trapdoors, or I think it's maybe 2 because I have this one. Either way, so I'm just waiting for these things to oxidize, and then I can get going. Alright, so we've got the first 2 organics built. As you can see, we've got the big wyvern dude up top, and then a slightly smaller, a little bit more derpy one down here. I told you my organic work needs work, and that's why I'm doing this, because this is good practice. But yeah, so they've got the wings. This one's got 2 sets of wings. There's a reference picture. I forget if I still have it, but I'll pull it up if I have it. But basically, it's The reference photo is from like a mythical something rather. I forget exactly, but it's got like a big kind of dragon head with the two big wings and then the smaller wings in the back, and then kind of peters out into a tail here. And then we've got a couple of these floating islands, which I'll continue to dot all around down to the bottom. And then we've got this other more kind of silly goofy guy here, and no reference for this one. I just wanted something with a pair of wings and a tail, and I was going for that really vibrant green with the white on the wings, which I'm using a combination of wool for the lighter lime there, as well as the outer ring of the wing inlet, and then transitions into white concrete. And then, yeah, we're just using copper for all of the kind of like the scaling here, and then we're using glow lichen to spawn proof. And then a little bit of other copper bits here and there. And then with the top one, if we come up a little bit here, so we've got more of like a red design here that kind of goes into a white for a little bit of extra color pop. And then we've got the resin bricks that we're using for the orange, and then prismarine and dark prismarine for the main body color. So next step is we're going to add a couple more islands dotted around here. I've got a little bit of a setup here, so I'm ready to place the next one. And yeah, we'll just keep doing that all the way down until we've got ourselves the top half of the drop chute set up. Also, I did find that shulker box that I had lost. So that's the good news. The bad news is I replaced the shulker box contents before I found it. So now I have all this extra stuff spare. So that's kind of awkward, but I mean, well, I'm sure I'll find a use for it in the future. So let's get these last couple of islands taken care of, and then I can showcase the first half of the dropper map. Well, that's a pretty cool view. So we've got the rest of the platforms in. I haven't tested this yet, so I don't even know if this is actually doable as a dropper game. So we're just probably going to wind up popping a totem here, and we're just going to give this a shot. So I'm going to start at the highest point that I can get to, which is right on top of his noggin. Yep. So let's see. From here, I'm thinking I can't jump there. I think right here. Yeah, that popped a totem. That was so close, though. I think it might be doable. I may have to just copy this whole setup into a creative world and just test it a few times to see if it actually works. My initial design, I had a couple of the builds swapped in the direction, and so things are a little bit different from how I designed it, but you can see that hole right there. I think that's the ticket. So we're gonna check this a few more times later, and hopefully I can actually get this successfully checked without wasting the rest of my totems. As you can see, I've used a couple, and yes, most of them were from doing this. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today. Let's actually show off before we go. So we've got, once again, the pterodactyl right up top. We've got our four-winged wyvern here. And then as we come down, we've got a couple of these little biddies, the floating islands. We've got this funky looking wyvern dragon thing into a couple of more floating islands that go all the way down into the hole. So yeah, good chance I'm gonna have to expand the circumference of the hole a little bit, just to make it possible to actually get down, because as you saw, like, it was close, but like I was off by a block or two, so I may need to just expand it just to give you more chance, more vertical space to get into the drop, but we shall see. So that'll be for maybe next episode, but until then, I would say take care, have fun, you know, enjoy yourselves if you have the day off today. I know it's a holiday in the US as the day of this recording, which I might try and get this video out for. So that's the case. I believe it's Memorial Day. Sorry, I'm Canadian. We had our Victoria Day a week prior. They're normally on the same week, but not this week. Not this week? Not this year. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode. If you like what you saw, want to see more, consider subscribing. Leave a like, comment if you're new, all that fun stuff. Also, I am on a podcast called The Chaos Den, so if you want to watch me playing D&D with my friends, then yeah, check it out. Links in the description. Anyway, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye!